the radio on. I am Mr. Bryant. I run the field. We're rolling off our bodies in the midst of a heat. The way we move to our favorite song in the backseat girl with the radio on. In the backseat girl with the radio on.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of Move That Mountain, where I try to talk to exciting people about their lives and the things they do to empower themselves and to move the mountains that stand before them. I hope you get a little bit from it. Maybe it'll help you through your struggles in life and hold on to your passion of things you want to be. So without further ado, let me introduce you to these wonderful people we have in the studio tonight. Exciting to have these two. It's I call them a power couple, actually. They're actors, and we have the great Susan Spain, and we have Kevin Craig West, another brilliant actor. They've been in television series and movies and films, and they're playwrights, they're writers, cinematographers, anything to do with the art of acting, these two are involved in. So without further ado, please let me introduce you to two of my favorite people. I know them also personally, Susan Spain and Kevin Craig West.
How about that?
Hey, Dave.
How y'all doing, folks?
Great. How are you doing?
I feel good having you two in the room with me.
Oh,
Very good. Well, folks, like I said, I've had the pleasure of knowing them now. Susan's been, how long have I known you now?
9 years.
9 years? Wow, you don't look at, you haven't aged a moment in 9 years. But I've known Susan. She works with me in my show. You see the picture up there of Shadows of the 60s, one of our sold out events. She's an incredible singer. She dances as well. So she's got all the threats going as an artist. And she introduced him to her wonderful partner in life, Kevin Craig West. And we've been going pretty strong, going together, going out places too. And now I get to have them here to talk about their lives. So Kevin, you know what? I like to just see a reel of Kevin first. And so introduce you to him as an artist. How about that?
Detective Stabler, Terrence Bryant.
Yes, sir. Brooklyn Borough President. Chief of Detectives, Deputy Chief Carlin. Everything all right?
Yeah, I was just telling them that you know about my wife's nephew.
We're glad Ayana trusted you with that. It means we're going to trust you.
This lady means a lot to us. We believe in her.
But this lawsuit's going to put her in a very uncomfortable spotlight.
Yes, sir. It certainly is.
The only way she survives it is task force needs to accomplish what it was set up to do.
It's on both of you now. Take Richard Wheatley down, you'll have done your jobs. Failure to do so, her career is over.
Is there anything that you can say?
Dr. Goodwin, have you ever loved a black woman?
Now, I've heard lots of numbers today. How they'll keep my wife safe, how they'll help ensure my child is born safely. But I really haven't seen my wife in your numbers. There's nothing worse than being told how to be grateful.
Julian!
Our search turned up nothing on foot so far.
Stay on that. What about the helicopter?
Eyewitness places it heading east.
Same direction as New York.
Jay, why were we consulting?
In all due respect, Madam
President. Oh, no! What if we're rich and we're safe?
It kind of helps, Kevin, that you're in two of my favorite things that I've seen, which is, of course, Law and Order. I've always been a fan of Law and Order. And, of course, I'm a science fiction buff. And you were in that wonderful movie called Don't Look Up, and with Meryl Streep and Leonardo DiCaprio, that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
So it's amazing, we're going to, of course, be saving Susan because I want you to see some of her glorious work. But that's amazing, that, and amid all this, you guys have managed to find each other as a couple. How do you manage that, huh?
I think a lot of it has to do with the four-leaf clover I found a few years back, and I keep it under lock and key.
You mean the four-leaf clover, right?
What did I say?
You said I keep it under lock and key.
The four-leaf clover.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
You're just finding about this now? You're just finding about this now?
Yeah.
The four-leaf clover.
Mm-hmm. And the lock and key.
Well, I can tell is if I was casting, I see the chemistry already. So that's a good thing. Let's see Susan, a little bit of Susan, her wonderful work.
Every time I start to get better, I start to remember. Daddy was gonna leave you.
Unspeakable things happened that night. Things I don't want to remember. Things I need to be free of.
Well, Mommy, what happened that night?
No, Leah, no. You helped your father put me in here. You gotta get me out, Leah.
I destroyed our family, and I am doing everything I can to make up for it.
I know. Just dance with me. I'm gonna need you to take better care of yourself, okay? Your Juneteenth ball is tomorrow. I brought you a rose. Isn't it pretty? You know what? I'll put it right here.
I'm going to be doing a lot of this. So that was also one of my new favorites. It was a Fox Television Network series called Our Kind of People that aired last year. And I thought it was phenomenal, her role in it. And if you want to stream it, you can go to Hulu and watch it and binge watch it. I think that's the best way. I like to binge watch. So binge watch it from beginning to end. And then, you know, you'll get to see Susan Burke and all the other great actors on board with her. So, you know, the pandemic happened, shut down a lot of your activities, your goals. You had things planned and lined up. But yet, as a magical key, the world reopened to you guys, and you're flourishing. You know, this program is called Move That Mountain. So what did it feel like to have all your plans and dreams be rolling, and all of a sudden, bam, the pandemic hits, and everything comes to a screeching halt? And how did you make it through that period to now where you are now, where you're finding renewed success?
Well, as you said, everything completely stopped. I happened to also sing in a Motown group that Dave is a director and producer on, and all of our shows came to a halt. I narrate audiobooks, the studios shut down. There were no auditions for any other work because the theaters were all closed. Film and television production stopped. And so everything that I knew came to a complete halt. Kevin was actually in a play that was shut down because of the pandemic. Just after opening night, it opened, and then the next day they were done. And thankfully, I borrowed a friend's car and drove up to Massachusetts and brought him home because also the buses and trains were shutting down. So, but it was very scary times. New York City, all you could hear, and I mean, New York is known for its busyness, and all you could hear on a daily basis was silence and then sirens, silence and then sirens. And but it was also a really great time for us in that people made a way to make things happen. So things, instead of auditioning live, we started auditioning for things, for future projects via self-tape recordings. And it sort of changed the medium for us. We can audition for any and everything from any and everywhere in the world. For instance, the TV series that I was in called Our Kind of People, I auditioned for that while at a wedding in Jamaica. And so I obtained that job while in another country. So
location shooting,
yeah,
so to speak. Huh?
Yeah. So it's been a huge blessing that we can do that we can find work wherever we are. I was in 2 commercials during the pandemic.
So in a way, it kind of leveled the playing field for a while there. Huh?
Maybe. I feel like in many ways more work was created, even though by anyone else's standards, you weren't really seeing much happening. We were able to do a lot of things online, streamed readings and work like that. So it was.
But you're also able to be introduced to people that maybe you wouldn't have had access to before. Wouldn't you say some of that happened as well?
I guess, yeah. I mean, being able to audition for casting directors that are based in Atlanta or Los Angeles or Chicago, I may not have ever been seen by them. I wouldn't say may not ever, but it might have been a long time.
Financially tougher for sure.
Yeah,
you have to,
we'd have to travel.
Air ticket and travel. So in a way,
And speaking, to add on to that, one of the things that I noticed is that access did become more available for everyone. I don't think that you necessarily had to be as entrenched in the industry as we were at the time to then start to be able to network with some of everyone, because necessity is the mother of invention. So people, being sequestered to, their own domiciles, had to create or get out to the public somehow. And, so a lot of other venues and platforms started opening up. And in that, it did provide a lot of access because you would have a Zoom meeting, and you could be on a Zoom meeting with all of these different celebrities that you never had access to and be able to converse with them. I did a number of classes. I was hired by a friend to teach a class with other celebrities that were part of it that I wouldn't normally, I hadn't normally been asked to participate on that level, because it was logistically, it was not as possible. So that was one of the benefits that I immediately saw from the pandemic.
So that's fantastic. I mean, like it says, is the other aspect I find about artists, how we were shut down, is that essential workers continue to work. But as I mentioned with another guest I had before, artists, we administer to the psyche of the human being. One of the most probably critical connection is interacting with others, because isolation is never good for anyone. Yet, as artists, the very thing that made us vital to humanity, you were not able to do it, which is gather people in mass, the thousands, go to movie theaters, having hundreds of people sitting in the theater at a play. We were not able to do our duty to society. So now that the pandemic has subsided, how do you find it when you're going out to do, a film is different, because that's still somewhat an isolated process until it's edited and put out. But when you do a stage production, you're getting that. How has it been for you doing stage shows where the people are coming out again? How does that feel to you when that's going on?
I recently completed a play that it's wonderful to be back on stage and to have a live audience.
Well, that was him with Lolita Chakrabarti, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And while it's so wonderful, it's easy to, while in that environment, to think, oh, pandemic, that we're post-pandemic now, and the reality is we're not. So sadly, the theaters aren't filling as they were pre-pandemic, but it is, to start, and it's good to be back on stage and have a live audience, and we'll get to the point, hopefully, where everyone's trusting to be back in a nice packed theater. And
it sounds to me like you're talking about, for us, it wasn't just a soft shoe that fell, it was a giant shoe that hit the floor. So we're kind of worried about the second shoe dropping.
Yeah.
But as you know, we can't live like that. We got to hope for the best. But I know, Susan, you're also directing. You just completed a production in Albany, right?
I did. I directed a short play called Take Me With You by Rachel Lynette. It featured two young actresses. And one of the things that I wanted to say is our union, Actors Equity Association, requires that theaters test regularly for COVID. So
the cast,
everyone has anyone. Well, no, anyone that is around the cast. So the stage manager and crew all must be tested regularly. Same thing with film and television. We had to test regularly for our TV and film shoots. And be vaccinated and boosted. So they really, are making sure that people's health is being taken care of.
But you don't want to go backwards for sure.
No, but the audiences do not have to be vaccinated. Well, some places require them to be vaccinated, but they don't have to test before they come. And many places aren't even requiring them to wear masks.
Does that concern you guys?
Well, we have the option of being near the audience or not. That they're supposed to be within, I think it's 10 feet or something like that of the actors on stage. They can't be any closer than that. But Kevin's play, they weren't allowed to go out and greet the public in the theater afterwards.
Yeah, we find that that's still a little bit of a line that you have to draw, because it's self-preservation, not only just for your health, but also for your art.
Mm-hmm.
One person sick and shut down the whole production, and we've seen that happen time and time again.
I've had it twice, and it's been, you never, you always, when you get things, try to trace it back to where it came from, or, you have this somewhat of a fear of being, entrenched in the masses, greeting people after a show. But the truth of the matter is, you can get it anywhere. It's airborne. You can get it at any time, and you just have to take care of yourself.
But we'll come back. My feeling about all this is that everything comes back. Life moves forward. One thing about life is it doesn't stay in one place.
That's true.
And there's always a risk factor. Leaving your house is a risk factor. Yes. But like anything else, you just take care of yourself. But the great thing is you're now able to get back out in the world, folks, and we get to do our job for you, which is to bolster your spirits, to bring you up and make you feel good about living again. And so that's a great thing. But one of the things that I've thought of is acting, unlike, I'm a singer primarily, and I get that immediate gratification. I sing a song. The only preparation I do is I learn the song. Then I get out and do the song. And I know next week I'll do the song again. And I'll do it with or without. If I'm being paid is one thing. But, I have that luxury of not, the prep time is shorter. But what fascinated my limited exposure as an actor is that there's so much prep time involved. And why I'm bringing this up is that, okay, as a singer or musician, we heavily collaborate with people, not necessarily for a project that's already launched, but we do a lot of, hey, what you doing today? I got a song I want to work on. Okay, let's get together and work on a song. Let's do a little show together. But for an acting, there's so much of your time that's involved in the preparation. How do you balance going out there and look for existing jobs and balancing creating your own job? I'm talking about creating your own vehicle. The old thing about, if I give you a fish today, you'll eat today. If I teach you how to fish, you'll eat forever. So with regards to this, I'm big about creating your own vehicle, building your own bus so that you drive it, you bring people on board. But how do you balance the need to create your own? Because we'll get into this later about the number of roles that are available to you in the first place. And how do you balance the desire to be heard and seen for who you are as an artist with doing what we call sweat equity, sweat labor for an idea with some group of people versus having to sweat to find the job where you get hired and get paid? How do you balance that? Or something you think about?
For me, it seems symbiotic. The more I'm working, collaborating with others, I can get ideas for my own work, or it gives me opportunities to have other people work with me on my projects. Something that I may, in fact, me starting out in the film world was me just going out, deciding to try to shoot something on my own. It was pretty horrible, but it became, trial and error, and working on sets for other people I just get to sit and learn and watch and network, meet people that then when I want to put something together. In fact, I was on a shoot in one discipline as talent, sitting in the green room and had a free weekend coming up and wanted to be creative and create something. So I said to those that were seated around me, "Hey, what are you guys doing this weekend? Would you like to make a film?" And they were like, "Sure. What is it?" I was like, "I don't know." I grabbed a napkin off the craft service table, wrote a script. We shot the film, put the film out into film festivals. It started winning awards, and it garnered more work for me.
What's the title?
So, Distractions. It's available a number of places online, but Distractions, BET was the first to pick it up. But yeah, so it became this, well, my work can create more opportunities for myself, and then opportunities that I have to work with other people's can create bigger opportunities for me to create bigger work for myself. So that's the symbiotic relationship that I've had with doing my own projects and doing more commercial projects. The successes that I've had of late will hopefully allow me to venture on into bigger projects that are independent, that are created by us.
I've done exactly what you said. Found myself, wanting to create work for myself rather than wait for it to come to me. And I've written a pilot, a couple of films, short films, plays. We shot a short film that I wrote and directed, and it's in post right now. And I'm doing more directing, but I find myself wanting to create the work for us to be a vehicle to get more work, I guess, or just focus on ourselves. And it feels good once you finish putting that piece together, and when you're at the end of it, or you've even knowing that that's a step that you've taken to get there. So yeah, it's exciting, and then adding that writer to your
that is yours.
Yeah.
And I guess there's nothing more than seeing it. It's an accomplishment.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when I heard him rattle off about I pick up a napkin, I was write a few words.
I know, it's crazy,
and
right?
then I create a script, and then I film it. I had trouble putting together 5 words sometimes trying to get creative. I mean,
it was a 4-word script, though.
Oh, all right. I'm up to. Well, we got so much more to talk about. You guys are very interesting. I mean, we're just starting to chip away at the top of this iceberg, and you know about icebergs, right? There's a whole lot more below the surface, so we're going to try to dig deeper into that. But how do you even approach wanting to be an actor in the first place? I mean, you had choices in life, I'm quite sure. You look like you could be a banker. You look like you could be the head of a corporate firm somewhere. How do you decide that I want to be an actor?
Do you want to start?
I've always wanted to be an entertainer since I was a child. There's never... I went a couple points in my life. I thought about being a doctor or an attorney, but I always wanted to perform, and I've always been a singer. And I studied acting in college, and it's just something that one of my professors said, if there's anything in life you think you can do and be happy doing it, do it. And some people left the program, and
You stuck with it.
I stuck with it. There's nothing in life I could do and be happy.
What about you?
Well, acting chose me, is what.
Okay, I can understand that.
The last real job that I had prior to becoming an actor was a systems analyst for the New York State Assembly, and prior to that, I was in the Marine Corps. I went to college to actually be an electrical engineer. I was
all the things your parents would want you to stick with.
Yeah. On paper, those things are great, but yeah, for me, internally, they were destroying me.
Gratification.
It wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't where my heart or soul were, and I didn't know where it was to be until I was sort of coerced into doing one production performance in a community theater play. It was like this conflict resolution piece, and this wonderful woman in the audience, Bonnie Alexander from the former New York State Theater Institute approached me after, gave me a card and said, come see a show at New York State Theater Institute. I went to see Big River, and before intermission, I had an epiphany that was how I was to spend my life, dancing and singing on stage. And I don't dance and sing, but that was what I saw myself doing.
Well, your spirit is certainly dancing and singing as you're doing all this stuff. So yeah, you're doing your craft. So that's definitely singing and dancing in your spirit. So I'm glad for that. But this is going to be a part one. We got to do a part two because, like I said, this is an iceberg. You see the top, there's so much more below. We're going to talk about it in part two.
All right.
And we're going to talk about that singing and dancing thing a little bit more.
He's been waiting for you to ask him to talk about singing and dancing.
The way we move to our favorite song in the backseat, girl with the radio on. I am Mr. Fire. I want to feel the rolling off our bodies in the midst of a heat. The way we move to our favorite song in the backseat, girl with the radio on. In the backseat, girl with the radio on.